Hey, it's Bridget from Math Giraffe. I was looking at a really cool study that had 40 people in a room listening to a long, boring phone conversation on a recording. 20 of them were given paper that they could doodle on, and 20 were not. Afterward, the papers were taken away and they were asked to remember the names of all the people who were going to be invited to a party. It turned out that the participants who were allowed to doodle were able to remember the people and places mentioned in the conversation a lot better than the ones who were not doodling. So it turns out that doodling requires just enough brain activity to keep a person from daydreaming, but not enough to distract them. Also, doodling activated both sides of their brains, which increases memory, focus, and learning. For the same reasons, it's also been discovered that coloring increases memory, learning, and attention, even in adults. They are making therapeutic adult coloring books for this now. There's even an added bonus of relaxation and stress relief. The act of coloring actually lowers the activity of the amygdala, which is the part of our brain that controls stress. This got me thinking about those kids with math anxiety. How can I get them coloring just a little bit, even in math class? Not only would it keep them calm and focused, but it has been proven that coloring uses both sides of the brain. So to try to really capitalize on those benefits, I added a little coloring. First, I tweaked my always, sometimes, never worksheets, and now they color the statements that are always true blue and never true is red, and then sometimes is green. There's an added bonus if I lay them out in a pattern, then I can check that work in just 2 seconds by looking at the colored design. Another thing I like is for them to shade answers in a grid. They get a little coloring with each problem, and then I like to make it spell out a word. They can act it out to prove they got it all right, or sometimes they make the words all have a special link that they have to figure out what the connection is. I'm also trying to use color more and more with the actual mathematical purpose. It can really help some students to mark sets of like terms in algebra or pairs of congruent angles in geometry with a little bit of color coding. So try and think of some ways you can add a little bit of that color or art in your classroom or even doodling, because the way the left and the right brain work together is so important for learning. A lot of our subjects are mainly left brain, but if we can insert just a touch of right brain activity into those lessons, we get both sides of the brain activated together. The two sides of the brain are separated by the corpus callosum. It's a fiber bridge between the hemispheres. And when both of those hemispheres of the brain are involved in working together, they communicate across this corpus callosum. And this leads to far better success in learning. You can also convince the two sides of the brain to communicate through special types of physical activity. Imagine an invisible line down the center of your body. When you're doing exercises that crosses this midline, you turn on both sides of the brain together and can stimulate that brain communication to increase learning.
Okay, cross-lateral exercise is anything that crosses the midline, which goes straight down the center of your body. So a body part that lives over here goes over to the other side. You can do anything like touch your opposite ear, or elbow to the opposite knee, even touch the toes, or do windmills, grapevines. You can even mix them up for a little quick activity in your room. So you can do like elbow, elbow, ear, ear, elbow, elbow, ear, ear. If you don't want something that's quite so obvious and active, if you're doing like quiet during a test or something, you can do these little fingers where you make 2 little guns with your fingers and put the right finger in while you put the left thumb down. So you have one thumbs up, one pointing, and then you switch which one's thumbs up and which one's pointing. Going back and forth between those really quickly, get as fast as you can, is a little more difficult than it looks.
Thanks for listening. I do have a blog post a little bit more about this with math-specific ideas. That's on mathgiraffe.com. Take a look at some of these other videos below as well. Have a great day.